Okay, so we're in derivation 1028, and we said we're going to show the conclusion, which is if not t, then if q, then not r. So we'll go ahead and assume the antecedent and show the consequent, because line 1 is a conditional, so we can show the consequent. And we'll go ahead and assume the antecedent again. We could show the consequent again, because we're still trying to show a conditional, a different conditional, but a conditional, and then make an indirect assumption. But in fact, these lines are unnecessary, and we're just going to stick with this. If you aren't aware that they're unnecessary, then all it does is make your derivation slightly longer to add those lines. It's not a big deal. But since I know they're not necessary and they're going to make it, I'm just going to go ahead and not do them. So at this point, we might think about how, nonetheless, how do we want to, our goal is to box and cancel line 3, which will let us box and cancel line 1. How are we going to box and cancel line 3? Well, maybe indirectly, but also there's the possibility of getting not r and using not r with cd. So bearing the fact that not r would be nice to get, or a contradiction, we'll bring in our premises. So w by itself is not very useful, and neither are q and not t. But this big conditional, so since that's all that's left, unless we're going to do some other substantial subderivation, and even if we do, we're going to need to use this one way or the other. If we get if p then w, we can do modus ponens, and that will give us if r then t. And that's nice, because if we look at what we have already, we see, oh, we have not t, and so we have the negation of the consequent of this conditional, which is what we need to do modus tollens with just the conditional of r then t. And if we do that, then we get not r, which is what we just noted we want in order to box and cancel line 3. So if we could get the antecedent of line 6, we'd be done with the whole derivation, because then we do modus tollens, we get not r. With not r, we would box and cancel line 3, because it's not r is the consequent of line 3, and boxing and canceling line 3 would give us if q then not r, with which we could box and cancel line 1, because it's the consequent of line 1. So it'd be nice if we could get the antecedent of line 6. So we're showing if p then w, and hey, if p then w, that's easy to box and cancel, because what we need is w for assume cd, and hey, that's what we have on line 5. And indeed, we could even use the rule MC if we have it enabled. It's theorem 2 or 18. We say we have the consequent of the conditional, so let's write down the conditional. Either way, we'll then do modus ponens with line 6. And we'll get if r then t, which as promised, we can then use line 2 to do modus tollens, giving us not r. Not r gives us the consequent of line 3, and we can box and cancel line 3. 3 is the consequent of line 1. Having boxed and canceled line 3, we can now cite it for cd, boxing and canceling line 1, and we are done. So there is derivation 1028.